roller skates, skiing, snowboarding, all of those times, helmets are so incredibly important. It is, again, one of those places where, as adults, we could model that behavior better. So I often don't see adults wearing helmets. And so I think as adults, if we could wear helmets, that might help reinforce the importance of that to children.
Right. And in fact, I think you brought in a few photographs. This couple of cute kids, and I think they're your daughters.
They are.
And maybe you could talk a little bit about some of the points that you've made and how they're illustrated by these. One was your daughter, I believe, shooting a bow and arrow with a suction cup at the end.
Yes, absolutely.
So what's the point of that?
So the suction cup, so that is more in terms of eye safety. So it would be more difficult to damage your eye if it got hit with a suction cup rather than something that was hard or pointy at the end. The other thing I'll say really quickly about weapons is you'll see with my kids' bow and arrow, it is very brightly colored. It's very clearly not a weapon. Oftentimes if kids do want weapons, toy weapons, they want the ones that look the most realistic, but realistic looking weapons pose other dangers and risks in terms of people assuming that the child has a real weapon. So I do encourage the goofy, very bright colored, clearly not a real weapon if you are going to get those type of toys. So
there's an eye safety lesson there. And also I believe your daughter, I don't know her name, but she's really cute. The one, the one with the roller skates. She was wearing the rollerblades. But I think there's something missing from her attire.
There is.
Yes.
So my kids are very good, and I think only in the way that a pediatrician's kids probably are. I'm putting on all of their safety gear. And so in that photo, you can see her as she's starting to get things on. So she's sitting on the ground, and she has her wrist guards, and she has her knee guards on. And the thing that's missing is a helmet. And so the next thing that she'd be putting on would be a helmet.
Right. In fact, I've asked what a good helmet is, and I've been told by pediatricians it's whatever helmet the child will wear. You want a proper helmet, but just getting a kid to wear a helmet. And the same with adults. Again, it comes down to modeling behavior. I agree. So if you're just joining us, our guest is Dr. Tami Hendriksz, a pediatrician, and we're talking about toy safety. The holiday season is a time to really contemplate toy safety, no matter what your gift-giving tradition is. And we're trying to focus on that. And we're trying to focus on how to balance enjoying the holidays, whether you're celebrating Christmas or Hanukkah or Kwanzaa or whatever your particular faith is, in such a way that gift giving is enjoyable and fun, but also safe, particularly for kids. So maybe we could close with a few insights into gift selection, keeping health and safety in mind. So I'd like to particularly ask Dr. Hendriksz, Dr. Hendriksz, some of the older gifts that are non-electronic, like the basketballs, the block sets for smaller kids, are they totally out of date, or does anybody still give those gifts?
They are not totally out of date at all. In fact, I think anybody who has a child themselves has probably had the experience of buying some fancy toy for their child, and the child takes the toy out of the box and then plays with the box. So even things as simple as a box can be very entertaining for kids. I think people assume that kids are not going to be excited by things that don't light up or aren't brightly colored, but that's just not the case.
Can you suggest maybe one appropriate gift that would be sort of fairly safe and appropriate for, let us say, a toddler, a elementary age kid, maybe a teenager? What would be an example in general of a gift that would be suitable?
Sure. So for toddlers, I really like gifts that help them with their developmental skills. So those shape sorting gifts, the stackable cups, nice simple instruments that are well made, so like drums, maracas, tambourines. I think all of those can be really fun and really safe for kids. As we move to kids being a little bit older, I like puzzles a lot. I think that those can be a lot of fun. Some basic science kits, some construction sets. So once again, building on to their intelligence and cognitive skills. And then finally moving on to adolescence. Adolescents are starting to explore their independence. So getting gifts that really help them with that. So cooking utensils and cookbooks, clothes, maybe some more advanced science kits.
So does a person have to spend a fortune to buy a good gift?
Absolutely not.
Okay. Some of these gifts actually might be less expensive than the technologically more sophisticated gifts with all the problems of the screen exposure and so forth. So maybe there's a lesson there. Well, our time is running short, Dr. Hendriksz. Do you have any closing insights on how we can do a better job educating the public on this? You mentioned modeling behavior as being very important.
Yeah, I actually think that some things have been improving, especially with social media. I see many more consumer reports than I used to, many more parents posting different websites. So I think continuing with those type of activities can really help.
Do you see toy and gift safety perhaps improving in coming years or decades?
I do. I certainly hope so.
Okay, so even though we're wrestling with these issues, there's grounds for optimism.
Yes.
And
always.
also, I guess, we have to be careful because let's face it, kids will be kids. And, I can tell you my own son, even though we've taken every precaution, he actually broke a total of 7 bones as a kid, just being a roughhousing boy. Fortunately, they all healed. I think the key thing is that certain injuries you recover from. Like if you break your arm will heal in most cases. It's when you get these injuries that can't be fixed, like an eye injury and so forth, that it really becomes an area of concern. And of course, we're never going to totally eliminate that risk. And we don't want to take all the fun out of the holidays. But I think this has been a really informative half hour. And I'd just like to say, as our time runs to an end, that we really can't do much more than scratch the surface on this. Is there research in pediatrics on some of these issues that's ongoing?
Yes, there is continual research, and a lot of it has to do with just monitoring emergency department visits and urgent care visits to see what types of injuries kids are coming in with.
Can you suggest any resources for more information that our viewing audience might wish to check out with respect to toy safety in the holiday season? Again, we're with Dr. Tami Hendriksz, who's a pediatrician at Touro University and an expert on this subject. Any additional resources?
The one that I mentioned earlier is my favorite go-to, healthychildren.org. Their information is incredibly reliable. And like I said, they have not only general information on toy safety, but they also break it down based on ages.
Well, Dr. Tami Hendriksz, I think this has been a really informative half hour. On behalf of Health Focus, I just want to say it's really been an honor and a pleasure to have you here. I think Touro University is really an underappreciated resource in our Vallejo community. And having an expert from Touro to teach us about toy safety is helpful, and it's very timely. So thank you so much.
It's been
and I
my
hope
pleasure.
that you'll come back and visit us again.
Thank you so much.
Remember, here at Health Focus, we focus on your health. Thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to seeing you again next year, and have a safe and happy holiday season. This is your host, Dr. Scott, saying, have a great day.